Hello, everybody. So I'm Catherine Odhiambo. Some of you know me. Some of you have heard of me. Okay, thank you. Some of you we've talked, but we haven't met. But now we've met today. Welcome to today's session. Safer food. Safer food. No, safer food. During the World Food Safety Day 2022, what was the theme? Safer food, better health. Okay? I know you're used to if it's not safe, it's not food. But this year's theme was safer food, better health. So I know we've started a lot, and this is a town hall discussion, not really a presentation. So before I begin, just the way we are seated, we have our notebooks, right? Yes, I want us to engage in a little exercise. Just write down the way we are seated, not you alone, but with the group you're seated with. Coordinate and write down 5 things, anything about food safety or quality. 5 things about food safety and quality, anything. The first thing, 5 things that come to your minds. And don't do it solo.
Okay, so the 5 things that this team came up with.
Yes.
The first thing that Doreen came up with was... Sorry. The first thing that the Doreen's team, that is Doreen and Gasheri, the first thing that we came up with was... Please say it.
Diarrhea.
That's the first thing that we thought about.
Career.
Like if food is not safe, you're probably going to get a stomachache or something, and you spend the whole day in the washroom, you know. The second thing was lost sales. The third thing was washing hands with a lot of water, just washing whatever, even if it's an apple. The fourth thing was testing, and the fifth one was bad publicity.
Oh, nice. Give them a round of applause. The second team that has finished their 5. Yes, kindly. What's your name? Who? Cherry, you're talking. Nice. Give us your 5, please.
So first of all, we thought about contamination. Yeah, and we also thought about health, food defense, food fraud, and we identified that HACCP came into mind because that's what helps us guard food safety.
Nice. I actually like that you mentioned food fraud and food defense. If you look at the magazines we gave you, this Issues magazine, we discussed about food defense in depth. So it looks like you read the magazine. Any other group? Okay. At the back?
Okay. This is Tony from Mark. So among the 4 of us, just in brief, we have talked about cleanliness. Of course, for surety of cleanliness, your testing, your packaging, what is, and the sauce, that is.
And the sauce.
Yes.
Nice. Round of applause for them. There was someone who raised their hand over there. There's a team here. They've backed out. Yes, that team there. What did you come up with?
I am Lucy from this group. We've come up with 5. Some of them have been said. We've come up with compliance, nutrition, testing, appearance, ingredients, and packaging. Very important, packaging.
Yes, packaging, aseptic packaging and the team, before we get into today's, the last team, okay. Over there.
Thank you. So our team, we have Some of them have been said. We had written so many. So we have color, we have moisture content, we have adulteration, we have traceability.
Traceability. I love that. Traceability is a topic of discussion that the world is moving towards in the era of smarter food safety. Okay, there is a team which was complaining. I saw their body language. Yeah. You. Okay. And you just stand up, please.
So we've talked about safe food for better health, then proper use of pesticides and herbicides. There's food hygiene in terms of cleanliness, quality food. Quality food is safe food. Then quantity food is not quality food. Then proper labeling of food.
Nice. That is a quotes group. And out of all the responses, we see one common thing. Almost all the groups have mentioned what? What have they mentioned? Cleanliness, food hygiene, right? And that takes us to today's topic, food safety in the news. I know most of you know Food Business Africa, but right now we also have Food Safety Africa. Yes, and the company is FW Africa, not AFMAS. So to today's topic, we see the World Health Organization telling us that in Africa alone, foodborne illnesses are okay, as I was saying, the World Health Organization records that foodborne illnesses are responsible for about 91 million acute illnesses and 137,000 deaths. And that's not in the world, that's only in Africa. Perhaps in Kenya, we haven't had so much cases, but Frank Yanos, the Deputy Commissioner of Food Policy and Response for FDA, tells us that in a global food system, if a foodborne illness exists somewhere in the world, then it means that it can exist anywhere in the world. So today, some of the foodborne outbreaks that have made headlines are listed for us below. And I found 3 common incidences, that is Salmonella, Listeria, and E. coli. And perhaps beginning with the most recent one. Have you heard of Barry-Callebaut? Barry-Callebaut is a giant company that produces chocolate in Belgium. Recently, it recalled some of its products due to lecithin contamination. Also, Ferrero. Have you heard of Ferrero? What do we know it for? Yes, Kinder Joy. I think that brings it closer home. Yes. It recalled also some of its Kinder Joy products due to Salmonella infection. Strauss Group is another one. Is it not moving? Next slides, please. Okay. Back to the slides. Yes. Strauss Group also recalled its products due to Salmonella. Pioneer Foods, this is another one, but now this is in South Africa. It brings it to Africa. It recalls some of its peanut products due to Salmonella infection. Those are just some of the few I've highlighted of some of the big companies, but there are many, many more others just between this year and last year. When we move on to the E. coli infections, we see Nestle France, they recall some of their pizza products due to E. coli infections. Denmark, researchers have reported an increase in E. coli infections. The same to France. When you go to Listeria, doll packaged salad, these are just like the name, it's salad. They also recall their products due to Listeria infections. And the other one is Tyson Foods. They recall their products ready-to-eat chicken due to E. coli infections. And if you find companies recalling products due to the same reasons, it tells us that there is an issue. And that's what I want us to discuss today. In all these recalls, what's your say? Have you heard of them? How did you react when you heard of them? And that opens the town hall discussion. Everybody is looking at me.
I think a good number of us around were either quality assurance people, were either food scientists by profession, or microbiologists or chemists. And just take us back to we deal with one issue at a time. So we start with salmonella. And it's pretty interesting. Barry Callebaut is the world's largest chocolate manufacturer. You've probably not heard of it, but you've taken their chocolate. They supply the people who make your chocolate. Okay, they had a salmonella incident at one of their largest manufacturers, the factories in, I want to believe, Belgium. You go to Ferrero, the same. That triggered a recall all over the world just because of salmonella. So the question is, and I would want people who are in quality assurance to help us, when it comes to salmonella, what is the problem? How do we tackle it? Who wants to go first when it comes to salmonella? Because it's an issue, it's a big issue in the food industry. And just in case, because if Barry Callebaut can have a salmonella, then there's a high probability a company here in Kenya would have one. This is a very big company, it has so much resources, and the people in their quality are probably some of the best in the quality business. But then they have that issue. So how do we avoid salmonella? I think we should start with that before we move to E. coli and we move to Listeria. So do we have that problem in Kenya, for instance? Is it something that you guys, experience in your day-to-day lives? Am I something that only happens in Europe? I would probably, now because most of you don't want to respond, those of you that I know, I'm probably going to come to you and then you can tell us. We'll start here. At least somebody has decided to help us. Salmonella.
Good evening. My name is Kamal from Majingo. And basically, I'm a microbiologist. Salmonella is a pathogen. And see, Salmonella, E. coli, Listeria, they are different microorganisms which like different kind of foods. Every microorganism like different environment. So like Listeria, there are chances of the Listeria when the moisture content in the food is higher. But Salmonella is very critical because it survives with a low moisture also. So in food industries, what we do, we have a certain kill step and we validate these kill step to check whether Salmonella has been eliminated in the food chain or not. We have certain environment monitoring procedures. We call it pathogen environment monitoring, by which we continuously monitor the source of the Salmonella where it can come from. So the thing is to monitor, to make the hygiene practices and a regular pathogen monitoring plan. And in adherence to our HACCP plan, we can control this organism. Thank you.
Thank you for that.
Anybody else who wants to add? as we talk about salmonella, think about E. coli. While I was in campus, I was told if you see E. coli, it is associated with what?
Hello, my name is Regina from Exotic EPZ. Salmonella is definitely an issue because contamination with salmonella can happen in a very easy way. Salmonella is a bacteria that can survive in the gut system of animals and bats. And you'll find in probably in companies, because people don't understand, you'll have trees outside and you have bats. So salmonella contamination in food can come from different places. And it's very easy to contaminate if you have birds around, because they'll come looking for food. Yeah, so salmonella is, and then it's infection. If you eat, a product with a small load of salmonella, you'll easily start having stomach issues, diarrhea, and a salmonella outbreak would mean so much, because it means you start quarantining your product, you start doing root causes. So yeah, I believe when it comes to this bacteria that now contaminate food and that are very lethal, we need to do more trainings to people, because you'll find the quality assurance does understand what is salmonella, microbiologists understand, but that person who is handling that food, that person on the floor who is packaging that product does not understand. So I believe it's a topic that we may need to discuss more and train more people on the same.
Nice. I must brag a bit because she's my schoolmate. Chuka University, well represented.
Somebody else with something on salmonella? Okay, I will let us to move to E. coli.
Before we move to E. coli, I want to comment that the World Health Organization also record that there are around 2,500 strains of antibiotic-resistant salmonella. So I was asking myself this question and asking you also this question. Does this mean that there should be a total ban on the use of antimicrobials or antibiotics in food animals? What's your take? Where does this resistance come from and where are we moving towards?
Okay, not specifically talking about salmonella resistance, but thinking about antibacterial resistance. I'm Tony from Mark. So sometimes what happens with antibacterial resistance is about gene modification on the bacteria. So certain action point of the antibiotic changes so that the antibiotic is not able to attach at its action point. So with that, the bacteria now tends to survive under the antibacterial condition. So what happens is that most of this thing is driven by underuse or unnecessary usage. So what you need to be sure of is to have control of using antibacterial. Just that.
How do we get this control? I heard someone say here that today, most of the people who are in here are quality assurance officers. But then we get like something like food safety, it's a farm to fork. It starts right from the farm before it reaches the consumer's tables. We find the farmers are doing things that they're very ignorant of. I had the lady of, I can't remember the name of the company, but they deal in honey. There's a lady right there. She was saying that farmers use pesticides, or maybe they can even use some antibiotics to treat their animals, unawares that this is going to cause harm in the food supply chain. How do we mitigate this? How can we help these farmers to know how to use the right amount in the right way?
Okay, I wanted to contribute to this way. There needs to be creation of awareness at farm level.
Can you please stand up whoever is speaking?
Oh, sorry.
The camera can't capture you if you're seated.
I am saying there's need for creation of awareness of the farmers in Kenya and in Africa, because we have farmers who use antibiotics, but they don't adhere to the time that they need to withdraw the products from use. Like you're giving your chicken an antibiotic for a certain period of time, maybe 5 days or 10 days, and you shouldn't take that produce to the market. Are they aware of that? That's where there's a disconnect. Then there should be surveillance of what is in the market in terms of antibiotic residues, so that we create data so that we can know, do we have a problem to solve? So I think there needs to be that surveillance of antibiotic presence in the food products, and they also need for awareness of farmers and also consumers.
Nice contribution. Any other?
Hello. In regards of that antibiotic, what I personally feel, the resistance of the antibiotic is a mutation, and mutation is it's a spontaneous process. We cannot stop the mutation. So, like in COVID cases, so many strains have been mutated. So mutation is spontaneous, it will happen. We cannot stop the mutation. So as the lady said that we have to be more conscious, we have to be more aware, we need to train the people, we need to keep the hygiene condition maintained. So that is the only way. We cannot stop the mutation. Thank you.
Thank you. Just to add something on that question that you've asked, I think we need to look at the root cause of this food safety incidences or issues. The demand of food security has gone higher than food safety. We are trying to cover the gap of the demand that is there on the market than the safety of the food product that we are giving. Now, look at here in Kenya, for example. If you're a business operator, say you work for company A that deals with chicken, and you're found to be, one of your product is recalled back due to some issues such as salmonella and other things like that. The government will hold you accountable, but will not hold the farmer accountable. And what the government will do is they will tell you to go to the farmer, to the Ministry of Agriculture, take an agriculture officer, you go with that officer to the farm. Now the problem is, here's the question, who is selling these chemicals to the farmers? Ministry of Agriculture. So we're kind of in a loop here. We're not solving anything. We're not moving forward. So I think government agencies have not taken enough measures to reach down to the farmers. Even the bill that they were discussing yesterday, for me, it felt more of a bill meant for food manufacturing industries. Even there was a lady from the UN called Mary. She really talked about things like having labs. We don't have labs. If you're all Kenyans, majority of the Kenyans here, you all know nyama kima. There are very high chances mmekula nyama ya punda. Amjui too. And that's the problem, and you see, it is just when we talk about these salmonella incidences, we focus more on the manufacturing industry than the informal sector, and that's where the issue is. And the fact that we're not holding the farmers, the suppliers accountable in this regards, this is a reoccurrence that you'll see a lot in this country. Thank you.
Thank you, Joshua. Any other?
No, you've opened up. No, you have something to
happy.
say.
I just wanted to reiterate the point about communicating to farmers, and we've talked a lot about what industry can do, but of course, like all this food that we're dealing with is coming from the farmers. And yeah, I just want to reiterate the lady's point behind me. So I work for Mediae, the producer of Shamba Shape Up. So our whole work is focused on talking directly to the farmers and showing them where they can buy the right products and how to use them, and especially things with like pesticides or the sort of medicines for livestock. We show them the quantities they should use them in and when they should use them and how. But I think this is a really important message to get across, so that the food that we're dealing with is of good quality.
Thank you. Wow, I'm actually loving this. I'm seeing so many hands.
Thank you. I think the lady just talking about Shamba Shape Up, and what came into my mind is, I think we need really to, we only see those guys saying, I'm here at Mama so-and-so, so-and-so. I think at that particular time, when they are going to Mama so-and-so, they could call the neighbors. And that could help us, because what we're discussing is the issue of ignorance and integrity. I have my chicken, I'm giving them antibiotics. I don't allow them to take the time they're supposed to take, and then I just take them to the market, or even the eggs. Either because I know or because I don't know. If I know, it's integrity issue. If I don't know, it's either ignorance and illiteracy. Now, I don't know when it's the last time the government employed the agricultural extension officers in this country. Actually, now we are having issues of students don't want to do agriculture anymore because they just think about mud and all that. We need these people because the bulk of the Kenyans are actually the ones who are consuming food that is unsafe. At least we have the manufacturers here, the cabs will be on your cafes will come and will look at this and that. But for that farmer who is just producing maybe even 5, what do you call them, crates or trays, and they have to take them to the market. Or for me, where do we buy our meat? Where do we buy our chicken from? We're talking about, I always call it chips too. That's where our chicken, that's our children go and they come, we give them 20 or 50, but that's where they're going. These issues of food safety, yeah, we're saying it's for each and every one of us. So I think we need to diversify the mitigation aspects. So that Shamba Shape Up thing, I think we should not just focus on one farmer and think that everybody is watching on the TV. I think we need some kind of bulking, even the small farmers together. And this issue of traceability, where are we buying from? The milk in the chain stores. There used to be milk in the chain stores. Some of them, I think they don't still have. Where do you get that milk from? Who has looked into that milk? What does it contain? Is it adulterated? Does it have antibiotics? All these things are there. And therefore, all of us are here today, and we have to think through how we are going to help, starting from you yourself, because it has to start with me, and impacting on 2 people around me. And the chain continues. Kind of a culture we have to start cultivating. Thank you.
Thank you for your input.
Okay. Now, I see 4 hands. Please, let's not have more hands after those 4, and then so that we can proceed to the next. And please, 1 minute. 1 minute, we go to the next person.
Thank you so much. My name is Brian Kiplangat. I work with Promaco Limited, technical sales representative. I don't know if I should be the one to mention, but from yesterday's presentation by Biofoods, Mr. Laban, he mentioned one critical thing, what they do to the farmers who supply them milk in an effort to give an incentive to the farmers or the producers of milk to be able to cut or to curb the use of antibiotics in the animals, or checking even aflatoxin residues in the milk. So such incentives should be incorporated by the various food industry players to ensure that the farmers will not try to use a lot of antibiotics, or will try to minimize. One way they will minimize is they will ensure their animals are well kept, or any other preventive measures. So, and another issue is surveillance, and I'm glad to be running a project with our company Promaco Limited with Christian Hansen. We have a test kit. I don't know if I'm marketing myself, but we have a test kit that test for antibiotic and aflatoxin residues in milk, and we've really championed for the last 1 year. We are really championing to see that food in the dairy processors or people who are bulking milk, big farms should try to get such kits to be able to monitor and do surveys, get data, and be able to ensure that the milk that the consumers are taking is safe. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Cheriot Ian, Senior Distiller at Kenyan Originals. So with the matter at hand, I do believe the biggest challenge is in terms of education. Like basically, you just tell the farmer that you're supposed to, maybe once you give your animal antibiotics, you're giving them for X number of days, and then you're supposed to maybe withdraw your, like not distribute the milk to the market, maybe not distribute the meat to the market, but they don't know the implication of doing that. So basically, even with regards to our companies as well, we have systems in place. Some of our companies are ISO certified and what have you. But at the base of it, you are sitting as someone who's aware of why we shouldn't do it. But mostly we find that maybe we're employing casual employees, day workers and what have you, who at the end of the day don't really know why they should do this and why they should not do this. And we champion food safety maybe sometimes from a point of maybe like documentation policy, and they're supposed to be championing it from the ground. So I'd say basically at the end of it, it's education of the source, us as the producers, and as well the final consumer, so as to be able to curtail the infections that are going around.
Thank you.
Well, yes, there was. I'm gonna go with the lady, and then we can just talk with the gentleman up here.
Hi, Ruth again from Corporate Relations Manager, Umami Foods Limited. I'm actually realizing in this discussion one thing. One, we are very comfortable consuming unregulated food, and very okay and very up to speed with exporting the good food that is certified. That is what I'm learning. Because when we are here, we're saying our products are certified, they've been checked, they've been done this. But what we go to buy in the market, Kangemi, Kayole, and those other places, we are not asking that question. As long as we have a fridge, it's just something that we need to think about. Number two, the farmers are not going to do this on their own. And since the Ministry of Agriculture, which in my own opinion, I think ought to be renamed to Ministry of Food and Agriculture. Because when you say agriculture, we think always about the farm. But what about the food? Food is very wide. That's number two. Still on the farmers, I think the people who can really engage the government on this, especially that ministry, because if we leave it to the farmers, they're still going to continue doing the same thing. Thank you.
Thank you.
The final person.
I think it's a good topic, but I'm not a microbiologist. But still, I would like to share a few inputs. So we talk about salmonella and all good answers, good interpretation. So, but I have a little bit more on this. See, when we look at food safety, so the prime focus is delivering a safe food to customer. And when we look at the source of salmonella, it is not only coming from raw materials. It's good that we are controlling at the supplier level. And it is also important to look at our process, our good manufacturing practices, the way how we produce, the way how we store it. And I think these are common practice across the industry. We don't focus on packaging material, right? We take care of suppliers, we mitigate the risk at supplier level, and we understood the risk associated with raw materials. We have a mitigation step, process we control. We have, let's say, food safety management system we implement at a plant level, but we miss certain things like packaging material. So it is important to understand the risk from a packaging material. Also, it's important to mitigate. So end of the day, let's say product is ready and we just take 25 gram sample and we send it for testing. Let's say result is perfectly fine and release the batch. So that is the area where we need to focus further. So let's say we produce a 10-ton batch. So just testing 25 gram sample collected from one container, it's not sufficient. So that is the major gap, one of the major gap in all these incidents, what we came across. So it is important to have a robust sampling, and it's also important to collect, samples at the different intervals, and then we should go for testing. So that's what my point of view. Thank you.
Thank you for that. Specifying even some of the incidences you reported as a result of a raw material contamination.
Maybe I ask a question. We have noticed something. Part or a good part of this problem comes from the raw materials that we receive. And yesterday, those who are around from Laban's presentation, he did say, if you get garbage in, little will you do to save what comes out. So in this area of food safety, at times, you might be receiving poor quality raw materials. And the issue here is on the farmers. We might want the government to do something. We might want the ministry to do something. We might want the county government to do something. But then they might not be working. What can we do as the food industry itself? Because here we are, most of us are in the food industry. What can we do to ensure, or the other question, or I'd rather frame it this way. And I'd probably want to bring two people into this conversation. It's Gervasi. So your first name is difficult, but then the supply chain in Unilever. And then I would also want to engage Karen from Quick Basket. Have you interacted with farmers? When there's an issue, when you're interacting with farmers, is there reception? Are they willing to change their practices? We might, maybe that's where the question should be. As manufacturers, when you interact with these farmers, are they willing to change? That is what I would want to ask. Maybe I start with it.
Now, let me just put it in the most simplest way we can understand. When you're doing the loss stratification of where we get E. coli and Salmonella, of course, it's fecal, right? Now, there are some products which are prone to Salmonella, especially the ones who are doing spices, yeah, because it's their roots, yeah, it's from the soil. So when I was seated here, I was asking myself two things. One, there are two elements where, like in the white space, where you go to the market, buy stuff, yeah, and you're supposed to use, and then you get Salmonella infection, or you go to a place where they are cooking and they have not followed. And then there's the structured industry, which most of us belong to. Now, we should ask ourselves now from the industry perspective, we have the HACCP. So there's something called design HACCP and the actual HACCP. Okay, because when you're designing, I think for the R&D guys, when you want to innovate a product, you'll have that design. How many of us are in that system where it is actual? By actual, I mean you have done proper risk assessment, yeah, proper risk assessment, and you've gone through that process. I think one of the bigger challenge in the industry is we have HACCP, but they are on paper. Two, even if it's robust enough, you don't get to review this HACCP periodically, because it's by regulation, you're supposed to be reviewing your HACCP plans each and every year, right? And when you are reviewing this HACCP plan, you are going to be checking emerging risks. So the risks of yesterday is not the risk of today. So if you look at these organizations which have been in that scenario of salmonella, you'll find when they are doing the loss, the checks, they find out that most of it is an emerging risk which they have not seen. I'm talking from that experience, and if you read through most of the times. And when I'm talking about the risk also, you have to look at it from the point of human aspect, because there's a lady who mentioned about the pest, yeah, the birds. You see, and also you human beings we are also pests, yeah. So what kind of behaviors, the risk assessment you have done also for the people, yeah? Because if you have a process, I usually, Joan, she's in Farmer's Choice, and most of her processes, I can tell you is a nightmare, because there's no any point she's hitting the product, right? And two, she's mincing the product, so she's increasing the surface area for contamination. So she has to be fully aware of how the people who are working there are controlling the whole thing. And thirdly, going by what when I was up there, I said, for you to be in a food agro-based company, you have to have a proper supply chain. Just to answer your question, you have to have a proper supply chain, and that is from the suppliers who give you this product. What kind of conversations are you having with them? Are you having a relationship of give me this product and that's it? Or are you engaging them more to find out what are these practices? What are these things which you are doing? You have talked about the post-harvest intervals, yeah? Post-harvest intervals is when you are doing those treatments. I remember when I was in my previous organization, we used to track that. So you have contracted a farmer, you have given them some incentives, just like the way Laban was explaining yesterday, and you have to put those caps, yeah, and monitor them. And I'm telling you for a fact, if you put that, the consumer is going to be, no, not the consumer, but the supplier is going to abide to that. I know with Farmer's Choice, you don't look at the fattest pig, but it's like you have given a precise weight where you have to slaughter that pig, and they are abiding and they know. So it's just give them that framework. What kind of conversations are you having with these people? Then when it comes to now the chips me to the likes, that should be governed by the now public health. You cannot sort, in my view, yeah, you cannot sort each and everything from one lens. You have to look at it from different lenses. And if you are in the industry, what kind of HACCP plan have you put in place? Is it robust enough? And are you reviewing it based on the emerging trends? And how do you do that? Even when you have a consumer complaint, that's an opportunity for you to review. You don't wait. Yeah, you don't wait for, you have to do a management review yearly for you to review that HACCP plan. If you get that complaint, it's related to anything, be sure something big will happen. Start reviewing it. You start reviewing it. That's my take.
I take this back to Catherine. She finishes in the last part that she wanted to present.
Thank you. We have several of those incidences, and aflatoxins is a key issue in East Africa. And recently, a study in the US showed that climate change is even going to accelerate the issue of aflatoxins. On to the regulations. What is the government doing about all these issues? Yesterday, I had someone mention that we are tired of formulating regulations and not implementing them. Sadly, today, I'll still tell you about some of the regulations that have been formulated and they're in the process of being implemented. These are just for this year. The first one, which was actually launched during the World Food Safety Day on June 7th, is the AU's Food Safety Strategy for Africa 2022-2036. How many of us have heard of it? Only Doreen has heard of it. Yeah, it's a really good strategy that will help in harmonizing the African standards, even to help us during the Africa Continental Free Trade Area and to make our products acceptable in the international market. We also have the WHO Global Strategy for Food Safety. And these address the current and emerging threats. We all know that the world is changing, and what was an issue yesterday may not be the same issue this day. And as we've seen, there's also the issue of antimicrobial resistance and the rest. We also have the FDA agricultural water evaluations. This was launched last year. Yes, and water is a key raw material in the manufacturing industry. Once the water is contaminated, even the entire product can be contaminated. All of this you can read on our website. I'm not going to go into them, and we're not going to discuss them much because of time. We also have the Codex New Guidelines on Microbial Foodborne Outbreaks. Yesterday, someone also mentioned the importance of data. And this is one of the things that the Codex is emphasizing on these new guidelines, the importance of coordinating worldwide so that we can know the various incidences of foodborne illnesses and how to tackle them. Okay. The Kenchik Animal Welfare Guidelines. Kenchik launched some animal welfare guidelines. Maybe they'll talk about it tomorrow. Some standards which have also been introduced of late, the ISO 22003. This was introduced just as we celebrated World Food Safety Day, and it has two parts. It harmonizes the food safety management systems and the food safety systems. You can read more about that in our website. We also have the Global GAP, revised IFA version 6, and the GRAS version 2. Okay. And our very own KEBS has introduced standards this year that allows for allergen declaration and animal welfare. On to new technologies. FAO has a system called the Empress. When you log into this platform, you can actually view some of the most recent food safety incidences. Cornell University has also worked on a tool that will make the tracking of listeria much, much easier. Pakin Elma has also launched some ready-to-use microbial count plates to help in the culturing process. We have Kemin food technologies. They come up with some antimicrobials and disinfection solutions. Yes, and the most recent one is for peanut allergen tests, the Neogen Veratox platform. On to fraud. We also have Brokers, which has come up with an NMR or Levoy profiling solution. That is nanomagnetic resonance for quality control and authenticity testing of olive oil. SGS, secure document feature. We have cases of people forging documents. Yeah, so maybe certification and the rest. So SGS secured platform helps us to detect such incidences. Another one is for the citrus fruit industries. That's the Sunkist research, which is AI powered. It can test the intrinsic qualities in the citrus fruits. Minerva has also come up with a liquid chromatography with mass tandem spectrometry to detect trace levels of pesticides, oxymatrin and matrin. These are naturally found in plants or in Chinese honey. Oh, and to finish off, I know I've rushed, but you can read more about them on the website. Did you know that this year, the World Health Organization came up with a WHO Food Safety Community of Practice platform? Have you heard of that? The WHO Food Safety Community of Practice. Have you heard of that? It's a platform that brings together all the food safety and quality professionals or enthusiasts. You can log in on their platform and sign up to be a member. They hold several webinars and educative platforms.